Hello, everyone. Salim Omar here from the CPA Marketing Genius Podcast. I've got a super special guest with us. His name is Charles McKissick. Charles, welcome.
Good morning, Salim. Great to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Folks, Charles is the head of business development at Unison Globus. It's a company that provides outsourced accounting and tax services to CPA firms all across North America. And I've invited him because a lot of firms, they struggle with finding staff members, team members. And for my firm, Straight Talk CPAs, working with Charles and his team has been a blessing because we are able to scale our company, our firm, bring in clients and get the work done through outsourced services. I want him, invited him for that, and got a list of questions I want to ask him. I want to make this as relevant as possible for you, the firm owner, wherever you're located, whatever part of the life cycle you're in your entrepreneurial journey. I want to really share some nuggets with you that's going to help you. Charles, let's start off with talking about industry trends. What are the current trends in outsourced accounting and tax services, and how are they impacting CPA firms?
Well, as we've entered into 2024, and the economy is surprisingly strong, so the demand for outsourced services is still high and growing.
Yeah, and the demand for really CPA services is high, right? Businesses are doing well and they're growing, and they need good CPAs, right? They need, they want to work with CPA firms.
Yeah, businesses are strong, unemployment is low, so the ability to find and attract talent, whether it's local or offshore, is very, very competitive. So the price for labor has risen, both domestically and offshore, and the competition for that talent is intense. So while more and more professionals and business owners are seeking outsourced services to supplement their team, the competition is very strong for attracting those same people. So I see that's the biggest trend. It's kind of a supply and demand is converging, and the opportunity is very ripe. But it's tight. It's getting tight right now.
How should CPA firms adapt to these changes to stay competitive?
Well, I think the most important thing about adapting is really, first of all, embracing the idea that the reason why you want to have team members, whether they're in your office or offshore, is to free up your time so you can pursue activities, whether it's work-life balance, chasing and bringing in higher level clients, more challenging clients to keep you interested, whatever it is. The idea that by taking things off your plate and getting other people to do it, it frees up your ability to be a leader. So I think that the most important thing is having a plan and a goal as to why you want to change your practice, following that plan, and being true to that plan when you're actually implementing an outsourcing strategy. If you're organized and you know what you're trying to do in advance, you're far more likely to have a successful outcome as you pursue it.
I mean, and it's a great point that you shared. And what I would even say is, it's really a mindset shift. And I know a lot of CPA firms have made that mindset shift. And that mindset shift is having a team that is just in the US or having a team that is in the office, to really creating a hybrid model, right? And you've shared in previous trainings, the concept of the CPA firm trifecta, right? The three things, you've got the owner, and the owner has his or her set of responsibilities. The owner's playing a certain role, important role, and then you've got the in-house team, and they've got a certain role, and then you've got the outsourced team, and they have a certain role, right? And when these three things work in tandem, you create the best outcome, for all the constituents that are involved, right? You create the best outcome for the owner, you create the best outcome for the team that's there, you create the best outcome for the clients that you serve, because you're giving them, that's the unique combination. So, I mean, I would just encourage, nudge listeners to really start shifting, if they haven't, that mindset that this is the unique sauce. This is the secret sauce for success, is having this mindset of having an outsourced team, complementing with the in-source team, and then the owner's role.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I heard an acronym last year, which surprisingly, in all of my 60 plus years, I'd never heard. But it's, the word team can also stand for together, everyone achieves more. And if you embrace that, by giving something away, you're actually gaining more. Then that's the key to unlock a tremendous amount of energy and success.
I love
kind of
that.
Throwing it out to the universe, and
by giving away something, you achieve more. And that's pretty solid there, because sometimes we want to keep it all, right? We want to keep it close to us, and we were like, no, I want to have control of this and that. And I think we can still have that control with that in-house team, with us reviewing the work. So we're delegating the work, we're not abdicating the work. We're still responsible for it. We've got a team, an in-house team that's reviewing the work of, that's being produced by the outsourced team. From all the years that we have adopted this model, the CPA the trifecta, my team's been happier. Employee retention is higher because they're doing higher level work. They're doing review work. They don't have to spend 10 hours on a client. They can spend 1 or 2 hours on a client, and we can still have that outcome of preparing a tax return, preparing a financial statement, helping a client with whatever the deliverable is. And employees, the in-house team appreciates it for sure. And the owner, as you said, they've got better work-life balance. Let's shift gears if we can, Charles, and talk about technology and innovation. How does Unison Globus, the company you're part of, how do they leverage technology? Let's start there. What kind of technology do you guys work with, and how do you leverage it?
Well, essentially, you could talk about the data security and client confidentiality protection. So we've invested a tremendous amount, not only in the physical security of our building, but also the software, hardware, and firewall setup to ensure that your client data is protected. As far as the workflow and the actual production, where we are focusing our efforts is utilizing communications technology, workflow tracking, any type of AI or formula-driven tools that we can use to enhance, whether it's data entry, work paper preparation, calculating numbers from disparate amounts of data to lead up to going into the tax return. We're certainly trying to utilize as much technology, and some of it's within the tax software or workflow management. That's one of the trends we work in your system. So we're really working on becoming proficient in the tools that you use. but probably the key is the method of communication, both digitally for day to day and immediate communication, but also the live Zoom, Teams, Skype, Citrix, whatever. We've really embraced utilizing live communication as part of the process, and depending on the business, some people want to meet daily with our team. Some people want to meet weekly. Others that have more mature relationships and have been doing this for many, many years, they only need to meet monthly because the processes and procedures and all the workflow is known. But the idea of building that human connection, I think that's something we've really leveraged. We had started doing it before the pandemic, but the pandemic really solidified, and particularly with scenarios like Salim talked about. If you, the owner, have domestic people, and those people can be in your office or they can be remote within the United States, and then when you layer on the foundation of the outsourced team offshore, having that live connection is so much more important. And if we so I think those are really the thing: workflow efficiency, communication, tools, and methods that save time and generate accuracy. I mean, I think those are really the three key areas we're focusing on. And we're still learning. It's, that's the thing. So much is coming out. Improvements are happening every day. I think we have ventured less into AI than maybe some other firms. We're dipping our toe in that pool slowly, but as we learn and become more comfortable, and because I think the thing is to ensure that if you use AI, you need to make sure you're feeding it the right information so you're getting the accurate result. And so we're still in the test and trial period, but I think it's going to be a game changer as time goes on. And I don't think it's going to take work away from us. I think it's just going to make our lives easier. But I'm not 100%. You, the owner, still have to be involved, and the live people team need to be involved. That's my take.
The adaptability that you guys have when it comes to technology, and really, the number of text preparation programs that you guys work with: Pro Series, Pro Connect, Ultra Text, Drake, and the list goes on. Pro System FX, you work with clients that use any of these technology or combinations of technology. We use TextDome. You guys work with that, and it's pretty cool. That you've got a team that embraces. You use the word embrace, right? That's embrace this technology, and that's. I mean, it's a challenge for sure, but it's pretty cool that you can work with clients, whatever technology that they're working with. What are some common challenges that CPA firms face when integrating outsourced services?
I think there's three things three opportunities that need to be overcome to make it successful. Developing the communication framework is one thing. Making certain that when we're communicating live or via Slack or Teams or any type of channel, whether it's face to face or written, to make sure that when you communicate a message or a concept or an idea, to actually check in to ensure that the receiver understands clearly what you're asking. And so sometimes that's the that feedback loop, checking back, whether it's live, someone can nod their head and say they get it, or they can say, yeah, I get it. But then sometimes it's good to periodically test them and say, well, explain it back to me.
Makes a lot of sense. And really, I mean, with the in-house team or outsourced team, or even with clients and all that, right? It's, having that strong communication. One can never over communicate. So agreed, 100%. that
that's
can be a
one thing.
challenge, but it can be an opportunity if that's turned around. You mentioned three things. What's number two and number
So the
three?
second thing I find is embracing the expanded workday. A lot of because in most jurisdictions, your offshore team is not working in the same time zone as your office. So depending on if you have people in India or Africa or the Philippines or anywhere in between, if you can embrace the benefits of expanding your workday and not necessarily having to have live interaction with your team 24/7, it drives you to have an efficient and effective process. So when you are overlapping live and how you communicate, you're accomplishing the critical objectives that have to be done on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and then making sure that process and structure is in place, so you can when you make the handoff, and I'll use an example, a North American example. You work here in North America during the day. You have your work set up that you want your offshore team to perform while we're sleeping here. You get to the point where you have confidence that I'm going to hand it off. I'm going to spend time with my family. I might go to the gym. I might go for a walk. I might go out and see friends. I'm going to have a good night's sleep. And when I wake up, work will have been performed while I'm sleeping. And then at that point in the morning time, when you connect, and whether it's Slack or Teams or Live, you know that your team has effectively produced output. And so in effect, you've now got, instead of an 8 to 10 hour day, you've got an 18 to 20 hour day, depending on the work hour. So I think if you can have build the process, embrace the process, have confidence in it, and let it work, that's a second thing, really. And then, as far as the relations with your team, both from encouraging them to buy into what your goals and objectives and what you're trying to achieve as the owner, and also encourage them to build their personal goals and objectives to align with what you're trying to achieve. I think that sometimes it's easier to get to know people when you're in the office, sitting down for a coffee or a tea, just like, hey, do you want to pop in for 5 minutes so I can talk? When you're doing it remotely, and particularly when you're dealing with other cultures, you have to make extra effort to ensure that you're aware of what they need to feel validated, and also help them understand what you need to be validated, because the cultures, the understandings are different. So I think those are the three things, that are kind of the biggest challenges. And also having a mechanism to work out when things aren't working, how to, I don't want to say dispute resolution, but how do you work through problems and challenges which come up in any business, that's the big, and I think the live discussion helps that tremendously.
Yeah, lots of great points you've shared there. As we come close to finishing this, to the end of this interview, to this episode, I want to two things. I want to ask you two things. One is, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you? And then I've got a final question for you. So why don't you share? Somebody's watching this, listening this, and says, yeah, this really does make sense. I want to have a conversation about it. What's the best way for somebody to reach out to you? Yeah,
well, my email is charles@unisonglobus.com. So that's just CHARLES at Unison Globus, which is UNISONGLOBUS.com. And that's probably the best way to reach out to me, and we could have a quick conversation. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and would love to learn about your business and what your goals and objectives are. What would you like to achieve in 2024 that was maybe different than what you achieved in 2023?
Yeah, that's great. Final words of wisdom, Charles, before we finish off.
Final words of wisdom. Well, I really think 2024 is going to be a great year, both in business and particularly in the accounting industry. The demand for your services and advice has never been greater. And because of the scarcity, now is the time for you to recognize the value you're providing, both in reflection for your clients and also the compensation you receive. It's going to be an interesting year, but I wish everyone good health and prosperity, and just keep chugging forward. It's going to be fun. We don't know how it's going to go, but it sure is going to be fun.
That's awesome. Charles, thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Lots of good information, good content. Thank you.
My pleasure, Salim. It's always great to see you.